Hi guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Our mission is to motivate you to invest for your financial freedom by providing you with valuable investing tips and strategies. Now I've received a number of questions from you guys asking, can you live off dividend stocks? Now we've all heard of dividend stocks and the fact that they can give you a passive income, but just how many dividend stocks do you require to live financially free with a healthy passive income? So in this video, we're going to find out. I'm going to reveal how large your portfolio needs to be to live off a dividend income and how long it would take you to get there. Let's dive in.
Coming in, flex, I just wanna win.
Before we get started, go ahead, smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to turn the notification bell on, that way you'll get notified when I release future videos and stock picks. It's good to be first on the scene when an interesting stock is at a great price. So how much do you need to live off dividends? Well, that depends upon a few factors. But the first factor is, what is your cost of living and lifestyle? Now this is different for everybody, as we all have different standards of living and different overheads. For example, some people can live off £2,000 a month or $2,000 a month, whereas other people might need $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month just to live a healthy and comfortable life. So you need to assess your own expenses and assess the quality of life that you wish to live. I suggest looking at the bare minimum amount that you need to cover all your overheads. That could be your rent, your mortgage, your bills, food, etc., socializing costs. Add that up and come up with a minimum number that you need, and then have another number of what would be more of a comfortable and more of a luxury standard of living if you wish to live that way. For example, it could be, I need £2,500 or $2,500 per month to cover all my basic expenses and have some left over to socialise and use for basic travel. But I'd like to have a passive income of say £4,000 to £5,000 a month to do whatever you like, travel the world and live life to the full. Now a useful tip for you to find out your expenses and budget properly is basically just to print off all your bank statements and go down the entire list. Forget about one-off transactions, but look at what are the recurring costs. Highlight those and put a number next to them, with 1 being it doesn't really make you happy and bring much joy in your life, and 10 being it brings a lot of joy in your life. So of course you've got essentials on there which you probably can't do anything about: electricity, food, internet, rent, etc. So you've got those on there, but you might have other expenses. You might have gym memberships which you don't use. You might have phone bills which you don't use. You might have car payments which you don't use. You might have all these other payments going out, and then if you highlight, does that payment for that product or service bring me joy and happiness? And if it doesn't, then that's an easy cancellation. So you're concentrating on what actually brings you happiness, because a lot of people are spending money on stuff they don't like to impress people they don't care about. So highlight what are your necessary expenses and what actually brings you happiness. Now the second factor to consider is, what will be your dividend income style? Do you plan on living purely off the dividends, or do you plan on living off rental income as well, your job, your salary? Now there is a major movement around the world called the FIRE movement. That is the financially independent retire early. Now these are people with the common goal of being financially free and retiring young, not waiting until they're 80, 90 years old to retire. So with regard to dividend income, there's 2 common rules which they consider when using dividend income. Now, one of those is the 4% rule. So that basically says, say you have a $1 million portfolio, you're allowed to use 4% of the actual capital balance, not just the dividend, to live off every year. So with a $1 million portfolio, that would be, you can take out $40,000 per year to live off. And if that $1 million is invested into the stock market in, say, an index fund, achieving 8 to 10%, then the money will still be compounding and increasing, and you should not run out of money for many, many years. Now option 2 is what I prefer, and that is basically to just not touch the principal. As the great investor Kevin O'Leary says from Shark Tank, use the interest, don't touch the principal. And that's my philosophy, is keep the principal there. You don't have to use that, just let that compound, let the interest build on that, and then if you want to use the interest to live, you can. So how much do you need to live off dividends? Well, based on an average 5% dividend, of course, some stocks offer a higher dividend, some stocks offer a lower dividend, and this can change throughout time. But basing it off just 5%, you would require a $500,000 portfolio to live off $25,000 per year, or a $700,000 portfolio to live off $35,000 per year, or a $1 million portfolio to live off $50,000 per year. Now remember, this is living purely off a 5% dividend income and not taking into account the capital appreciation of the stocks or any other forms of income you have. For example, many of the greatest stocks don't even pay a dividend. For example, Amazon, as they constantly reinvest in growth. So that portfolio size may seem very large, but there are multiple ways to achieve it slow and achieve it fast. So how can you build a large portfolio? Well, the first method is the most passive, the lowest cost, but it does take the longest amount of time, and that is index fund investing. Now, an index fund is basically a basket of stocks which track a particular segment of the market. For example, in the USA, you have the S&P 500, which tracks the top 500 largest market cap companies in the USA. This includes companies such as Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, and many, many more. Whereas over in the UK, you have the FTSE 100, which tracks the top 100 companies in the UK. Now, these are the indexes, and then to invest into them, you need to use an index fund. So I highly recommend the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, that stands for Exchange Traded Fund, or the Vanguard FTSE 100 ETF, or Exchange Traded Fund. Benefit of index fund investing is it offers you instant diversification. So in one investment, you'll be instantly diversified across, say, 500 companies for the S&P 500, or 100 companies for the FTSE 100. Very simple, it's very easy, it's very passive, and it's an extremely low cost form of investment. Over the past 90 years, the S&P 500 has delivered an average return of 9.8%. Now, it has been stated that many economists are predicting that the S&P 500 will not perform as well in the future, and you can expect more like 6 to 7%. You can invest in these funds using the free trading apps such as Trading 212. I'll leave a link below where you can get a free share when you sign up. So how long will it take you to build up this portfolio? Well, this all depends upon your investment style, your risk tolerance, your income, and your budget. Using the passive income investing method and the compound interest calculator, we can see that if you started off with $20,000 and you invest $1,000 per month of your income with a fairly high 10% interest rate, which has been the average of the S&P 500 over the past 90 years, you would reach just over $1 million in 21 years. Now that might seem a long way away, but to think that the average life expectancy in the UK is 81 years old, then really this is like you're working for just 21 years as opposed to 50, 60 years like some people do. So for some people, this is okay, at least they have a goal to invest towards. But for me personally, I prefer the faster route to financial freedom. This brings me neatly onto method 2, and that is investing into individual stocks. Now, investing into individual stocks is not easy, and it requires a lot more research, it's got a lot more risk, but the rewards can be tremendous. For example, just $1,000 investing into Amazon in 1997 would be worth nearly $500,000 today. So if you pick the right companies, you can get some fantastic reward. If you invested just $10,000 in Amazon in 1997, you would have over $5 million today. Now, although investing into stocks can require a lot of research and hard work, I have done a lot of that for you. So you can check out my top stock picks for 2020 using the link below. These are all companies which I've invested in during this latest stock market crash. Overall, whichever investing strategy you use depends upon 3 factors: your personal situation, your risk tolerance, and your investing goals. If you're working in a normal 9-to-5 job and you've just got extra income, you want to just passively put that into a fund, I would highly recommend Vanguard FTSE 100 ETF and the S&P 500 ETF. If you've got a little bit more time and a little bit more interest, then I suggest investing into individual stocks and getting those greater rewards. Either way, the most important thing is to get started investing today. Thus, you could take advantage of the magic of compound interest as early as possible. So what do you think about dividend stocks? Do you think they're a sustainable form of passive income? Comment your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead, smash that like button and definitely subscribe. See you next time.
Coming in, yeah, flex. I just wanna win.